Hello everybody and welcome to the feature match of the week. I am CocoKane from Tavern TCG and we are going to start off our match. This one is going to be basically a mirror match, so if you like to look in the mirror when you play this game, you're going to love this one. Duking it out with basically the same moves on each side. We are both playing a version of Red Arla. His is called Hell's Angel and mine is called Bloody Arla. They are both different in their builds by about 6 to 10 cards, but they are basically the same deck. So we're going to go ahead and see how this goes. We both rolled the same thing, so we had to do a reroll. And I think we did it twice. And here we go. We both mulligan part of our hands and start the game. I start off with a Guinevere and a bow, excuse me, a Maribel. Pass to him. Maribel is very important in this matchup in particular because the bows have 4 counters on them with Arlas. So we want to be able to destroy the opponent's bows, but he also himself starts off with a Maribel, so that was kind of interesting. He plays Egg Maribel and passes. I unfortunately didn't really have much to do with my second turn from what I remember. Very down on my luck. Considering I went first, I was really hoping to have more of an aggressive hand. Sorry about my nervous shuffle, I can't make up my mind. This game was very hard in particular. I don't know if anybody has played this mirror. It's a lot of very crucial decision making. Any mirror for that matter, to me seems to be very crucial in every decision that you make, because your opponent's making similar decisions, and the first person to make a mistake is going to be the person that loses. I dropped 2 eggs and passed. And I think I was on the fence there because I had a Lancelot in hand and I could have been aggressive, but I knew he would just chump block with his egg and then probably come at my Lancelot, so I decided it would be better to set up more of a wall. He thunders my Gwen, so before she dies, I eat an egg. Search out my Snow White. Then I decided that Gwen's a better decision. Considering he just got rid of Gwen, I need to replace her. And I still get my draw, so if I'm lucky, I'll draw Snow White. Draw 2. I believe I drew another Maribel and a Gwen. Hesitant on my discard. It's one of those times where you need almost every card. And I get rid of the Gwen I searched. Mainly because I drew into a Gwen, so I knew I had one. And I guess every card in my hand must have been worth it. He finishes by placing another egg and passing. I drop Leviathan, so I have a sack engine. Leviathan, excuse me. Gwen. And Lance coming in. Chumps with an egg. Which I figured he'd do. But I have to clear the board somehow. And at least the egg dies on my terms. Pulls out our star, Little Dread. And Little Dread is the MVP of my deck, personally. My deck runs 4 copies. I believe his ran 2. Personally, I feel lucky. He's got 3 red stones, no white, so I don't have to worry about an Arla flip or any Percivals. Taps 1 to Demon Flame my Gwen. And because I feel like he'll come at me aggressively, I just have Gwen eat herself instead of eating the egg. I want to have a blocker. And there it is. Lancelot drops. And he passes turn. I banish the egg into Leviathan after I draw. Search out a Hector. I figured the best play at this point, considering I already have a Lance in play. Possibly another in hand. And there's a misplay. Okay. Did not catch that. I just caught that now. I think I already drew for turn, and then I drew again, so that was bad. Very, very bad. Foreshadowing, I lose this game, so not a big advantage for me, but very, very bad, Cody. Percival. Revealing the top 5 and picking a bow because I didn't see one all game. I need my bow. Normally with this deck I get really, really greedy with my bows. I see them a lot. This game I did not see them. Then I play my Hector, pumping my Lance and shooting his. And then I'm taking out the egg. He didn't realize I was shooting his Lancelot, and then he realized it afterwards. But I shoot the egg with the bow when he goes to block, and so he gets his search trigger. Taking his Gwen, putting it to hand. Then I drop another lance to get a little aggressive. Coming for another 6. Maybe I don't lose this one. Maybe I lose the next one. It's all a blur, people. I apologize. I've been playing this deck a lot, and I play a lot of my local friends a lot, and it's hard to remember which matches were the matches at the tournament, and which matches were pre-tournament, and which matches were after this, actually. Post this match, Cab altered his deck a little, and I altered my deck a little, and we also have played another match again. And I think that's the match I'm referring to where I lost the first game. Now that I'm trying to remember, I think I may win both of these games. So shame on me for the extra draw. I'm sorry, Cab, I love you. Nervous hand shuffles everywhere while we try to make our decisions. I feel the advantage that I had in this was that I had played the mirror match before, back before we went to Arizona, and we were testing out the Arla deck. I had played a lot of the mirror match against Kyle and against Brian, and when I got home, a friend of mine also built a red Arla, and I'd done a lot of mirror match testing with that before I got to face Cab. So I felt I had a little bit of an advantage knowing how to play the mirror match. Maybe I slowed down my tempo a little bit, let him come at me until I felt I had the aggression advantage. And now he's sitting here with all of his early game, and he has to dig and hope that he has an answer, and I've got 2 lances on board and some pressure already. Also, already now I have an Almerius and a Heat Ray, so I can flip and come at him if I really need to for the last kill, which I feel like I can do right now. I think I'm doing a little calculating in my head. Instead I call a stone. And I play Flame King Shout. Let him get his Gwen triggers. I saw that Lancelot he just drew into, which is something he probably could have used a little while ago. Drops the Gale. Second Gwen trigger. Must have a good hand if he drops the Gale. I have my card patiently waiting from the Flame King Shout drop. Gets rid of a Thunder, which I feel shouldn't have been a hard decision. It's a pretty easy card to get rid of at this situation. Drop Snow White into it. Lance comes at him first. I blow up his bow with my Maribel. I swing in with Percival. And the other Lance, which should have actually swung before Percival. Then I swing in with Snow White. Then I swing in with Hector, and that's game. Jumping into game 2, apologizing again for that extra draw. I really hope that didn't make the advantage on how I won the last game. I'm really hoping it was the rest of the deck. I feel like this match right here, the advantage was because of sideboarding, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in and see how this one went. He is on the play, I am on the draw, and I put back almost all of my cards. What he didn't expect was that I sided out my Arla, which in this match, usually I don't side out the Arla in the mirror because the bows are so strong. But I wanted to I felt like with me up a game, could afford to lose a game, and I wanted to try out this idea I had of siding into a different ruler, Kane, for board control. So we're going to dive in and see how this goes. Starts off with his 4 counters on his bow. He starts off with a Leviathan and passes to me with no first turn. Makes me a little happy. I drop my own bow, but then I double it with a second bow. A little bit better of a shield, and a Gwen. Possibly the best first turn play I could have with this deck on the draw. Maybe 3 bows would be better. He puts down a second bow himself. So this right here is part of the reason you see that this is a mirror match, except my bows only have 2 counters on them. If I had Arla still, mine would have 4. He plays Percival, takes a Lance. I assist him by lifting his deck. And he passes. I call a stone. I'm pretty sure I name red. I don't see why I would need white in this deck. But I drop a robe, and that right there is where he drops his jaw and feels a little nervous. I don't think he was expecting the robe. Very underrated sideboard card. Should be in a lot more of your guys' decks, with red being all over the metas. And this is where I feel like I stopped him a little bit. I knew that he grabbed that Lancelot, and now he doesn't want to play that Lancelot. Had my bows been worth more, he would also have been scared to play that Lancelot. He drops a Maribel. And plays Gareth, and passes turn. With Gareth immune to the bows, very good play. Before recovery, I prevent all damage Gareth would do. Mostly as a precaution. He has to read the robe, he hasn't really seen too much of it. And it is rest, prevent all damage that a fire resonator would deal. I don't know if that's the exact wording, but that's what it does. That would be, I think, it's prevent all damage that would be dealt by target fire resonator. I don't know why I didn't flip early. Probably because I didn't have any Leviathans. Because Kane can just keep calling stones. So then I play Percival and I find my Leviathan. There's actually 2 right there, I believe, and a Lancelot. I knew if I didn't grab one, I wasn't going to get one for a while. So now my Lave is on board. And it's a decision to be aggressive or not with that Gareth on board. Almost positive I have a little dread in hand, so I want to steal it. But he has a Lave himself, so he can sack it. Keeping my hands on the stone because I'm not sure if I want to do this. Make my decision. Or not. This mirror match is really tough, people. I don't want to play too aggressively and then lose my only aggression, considering his Gareth is much bigger than most things I have in the deck. decided to go for it anyway. Play Lance. Pass turn. Body on board is better than nothing. Life's both at 40, considering the board states do not necessarily look the same, but neither of us have actually made a dent on the other. I'm actually pretty lucky that I have that robe out, otherwise I'm sure that Gareth would be tearing up a lot of my things. Using his Merry Bell to blow up one of my bows. Even though his Gareth is immune, his lances are not. He swings in with Gareth and I prevent all the damage. Which I think he saw coming, or he, excuse me, figured I would do with one of them. Now he swings in with Lance. Personally, I feel like that's the reason he got rid of the bows, and I knew he would. I'm debating whether I want to trade lances, and instead I take the damage. He uses his last one to play a rook egg and passes. I tap Lave before recovery. Drop another bow. He's lucky he got rid of one of them. Triple bow, whether you have Arla or not, is not a good thing for your opponent to see. That means things have to be bigger than 12 if they're unrested. Haven't flipped Kane yet, and I'm debating on whether I want to or not. I do have Levitin, so I can come at him aggressively if I feel like it. But I decided to dig a little deeper with Percival first. Near whiff. Find another Percival. Sorry about the turn from hell, guys. This is a very, 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 very long decision on my part. Longer than most I like to make. Trying not to lose resonators, and at the same time, keep the tempo in my favor. Figuring out if a Kane flip is a good idea, because then I could start clearing his board with by tapping the Leviathan and using his ability. Not this turn, necessarily. Well, I have stacked it once, and I think that's what I begin to do. Leviathan has already been stacked once, and if I tap it again, it'll go to 2, and by banishing one more Resonator, I can tap it again and go to 3, so it'll plus 200, or plus 600, excuse me, plus 200 3 times, and Kane's ability is plus 200 damage for 1 red. So I could J-activate, rest my Levitine, banish one of my Resonators to rest it again, and then pay my 1 red to destroy his Gareth. Because that is just enough that is 800, so it can't be prevented. And I'm almost positive that is what I go ahead and do. No, that is something I save for later. First I pump Lancelot into, or excuse me, Gwen into Lancelot, shooting his Lancelot, and attacking his Gareth. It's a little bit of a kamikaze. I started to move the dice because I thought that I had tapped that again, but I had not. He banishes Percival to prevent all his damage to his Gareth and loses his Lancelot. Then blocks with his egg. And when he goes to declare the block with the egg, I banish it into Levitine and Unrest. I don't want him searching off that egg. I would have let the damage go through had the Gareth not been prevented, but if it was only going to take out an egg, it wasn't worth it. And I was going to have to lose my Lancelot anyway due to Gwen's effect. Another good idea at this point would have been to J-activate, because I already have the damage, the extra damage on my Lave, and I could have come in at Gareth, but it would have been at the risk of losing my Kane, and I didn't want to do that. I could have used my rope to prevent the damage done, but then if he came at me with something aggressive, it would have been something I wanted to see. So I played Percival to another bow, and pass. There are no more stat counters on that Levitine, I just didn't move my dice. Die. There is only one. The day after we got this video done, I obtained my very first misprint True Stone. So hopefully the next time I play on camera, I will get to hit it and it'll show a shiny, nice miscolor True Stone when we get to show our next feature match. That'd be pretty cool. And I'm working on getting my deck as max rare as possible. If only they foiled Rook Egg. Maybe we'll get Rook Egg in the next set, people. Non-orange border, possible foil. Guy can dream. What other possible foils or other cards are you guys hoping to see in the next set? Also, I was wondering what everybody's opinions are, what this next set's going to do to the meta, because right now red rules, but it looks like we've got a lot of other colors that are going to make a nice big impact. Or decks playing multiple colors, sometimes more than 3 it looks like. So, I'd like to hear your guys' opinions. He banishes his egg into his Levitine, and that's when I remembered to take my counters off mine. Since I didn't let his Rook Egg die to the attack, he had to do it himself, which I prefer. Searches out another Gareth. The only thing he can think of that can get past the bows. And I can only prevent damage from 1 Gareth with 1 robe, so it's a good strategy move. Little does he know, I think one of the only cards in my hand is a Little Dread. So I'm either going to get to steal it, or he's gonna banish it when I try to steal it. Either way, I take the Resonator off the board, which is what I want. I would prefer to take it, because then I could do more damage with it, but... And sometimes banishing into Gwen is just great. When you banish your opponent's Resonator with Gwen, the look on their face is almost priceless. People didn't believe me when I said, at my locals when I came back from Arizona talking about how Little Dread was a beast and how Brian Liu and company had talked me into playing 4 Little Dread in my deck, and people were like, 4 Little Dread? You've got to be kidding me? Yeah, no. Little Dread puts in work. He thunders Gwen, so I activate. Get some card advantage while I can. Discard Hector with no lances, doesn't matter. I'm going to be stuck on this deck for a while, by the way. I will test other decks and do some good feature match, of other profiles and other decks. But personally, this is the deck that I'm going to be running. Not necessarily these numbers anymore. I do not necessarily run these numbers anymore. But Arla Red is just, I feel is too good right now before TTW, and I feel like that's the best deck to be running at this moment. So I'm going to be staying on the Arla train, and probably not jumping off until TTW. He passes turn. I prevent damage from the untapped Gareth, because I'm not really sure what I'm going to do at this point. Just want to make sure I can get as much prevention as possible, in case I decide to kamikaze my Kane straight into it. He's an uncommon for 3, 8/8 body with target attack that has a 700 or less damage prevention. It's just too good. It's built in. Like, that card is underrated. If it's not underrated, I mean it shouldn't be an uncommon. It's like Susanoo. It should just definitely be a rare. I Percival for a Maribel. Trying to figure out how much damage I can do. And this is the part where I talked about earlier, where I'm going to tap to add a counter, and then banish to untap, tap to add a counter, J activate, pay 1 red to do 800 to the untapped Gareth, unrested Gareth, excuse me. Because I stacked the Levitine 3 times. That's 3 times 2 plus 200, and he already does 200. To give me no satisfaction of doing it, he banishes it into Levitine. Then I swing at the other one, and swing at the other Gareth with Kane, and I banish Percival to prevent all the damage to my Kane, who has been boosted by 600. Then I use my Maribel to blow up his bow. Swing at him with Percival because I can. He decides to bow it. Give him back his life. And I give him back his turn. Before Stone's already out, I'm glad that I waited a little longer to flip Kane because now I can actually play things even if something happens to him. But he also calls a stone every turn, which is just dangerous. I feel that Kane is great for board control in Grim type decks, against Rogue Crimson Girl type decks, against these new Prissia decks that are going to be running around. He's very good at wiping boards very quickly, especially with Levitine. So I feel he's very good for the sideboard for this deck, despite what other people say. He plays an egg and banishes it immediately so he can search off what he wants. And at this point, I'm kind of glad I switched to the J-Ruler strategy because I don't have to worry about him searching out a Little Dread and taking my last big dude because I only have a Gwen. I feel pretty comfortable despite being at the lower life total. He searches out a Gareth! Who would have guessed it? The MVP of Cab's deck, Gareth. Basically, this is a game of mirrored decks, except I run 0 Gareth. 2 in the sideboard. At this point, 2 in the sideboard. And I ran 4 Little Dreads, and he ran 2 Little Dreads. Very weird. And we came up with these decks separately. This was the deck that I took to ARG that was tweaked to be like like Adam Reisner's. And slowly I have made my own changes because I felt that we'd made meta calls at the time that I didn't need, along with there was some things in the sideboard that I personally liked that I didn't have in the sideboard when we left, like Sign to the Future and Kane. He drops that big gas, Gareth, excuse me. Drops the Gareth down. Shuffling around with those last 2 stones, trying to figure out what he wants to do while I'm shuffling around with my cards, waiting for my turn. I point out that I really am annoyed by Gareth because that 700 damage prevention basically takes up all of my attention. Like back in the days when I used to play against a lot of Grim with my Abdul and Rapunzel would come out, Rapunzel would just instantly get a red target on her forehead because I knew that if I didn't deal with that threat, it would become something more than just a tiny 6/6. And that's the same with Gareth. He doesn't necessarily become any bigger, but he is a threat that if you do not handle him immediately, he will just definitely tear you up. I play Little Dread and attempt to steal. He banishes it into Levitine, which I expected, but at least I cleared the board, which was what I wanted to do. Tap Levitine into him and swing. Hitting him for 9. Which didn't seem like a whole lot, but at least I finally got in some damage. And again, it's not a waste of a Little Dread if I killed the Gareth. One time I even Flame King shouted and played my Little Dread because I have 4 copies, and it was one of the only cards in my hand with a 3-drop that was aggressive. The target attack made it take out a Gareth, and it's over 800. It's over 700. It's an 800, so I traded pretty evenly. Gwen eats herself before the thunder hits. I honestly can't even tell what I discarded. I think it's a Death Scythe. No, it's a Snow White. Excuse me. Totally 2 different cards, Cody. I promise you, I was there. I played this game. I should know. Those are my nervous hands shuffling back and forth. repositioning my field, because I just am OCD and I'm never happy with where the position of my cards are. I'm feeling pretty good too because of my Gwen's being able to stick on board. I have a hand at this point in the game, and he's got one card. He's spent most of his resources to just try to stay alive. The advantage here came with me being able to, me sideboarding into things that he didn't, one, expect, and two, I believe he didn't sideboard. He expected me to just play the mirror match and have no sideboard necessarily. I don't know if he plays robes, but he doesn't really have much of a sideboard necessarily to throw in, and he decided it was just going to play the game the way he was going to play it, and I sided heavily. Believe 12, maybe 10 cards. He plays Lancelot, and I tapped the robe into it, which honestly I should have let him come at me first. I do have triple bow, so I didn't really need to waste my robe, but he had no hand, so I wasn't really worried about him playing something and coming at me all of a sudden. And my robe can't stop Arla, so even if he decides to flip Arla and try to come at me, I'm not really worried about it. Which at this point I feel like if I were him, that's the only thing you really can do. Considering I'm not playing Arla, so he doesn't have to worry about my 4 counters popping his Arla just after flip. I'm wondering his hesitation. The local judge came by and asked what game we were on, so we were describing which game we were on. He G-activates, so I shuffle his deck. We both have no angels in our deck, so we fail to find. When we J-activate, we still have to shuffle. He passes turn to me. Despite having target attack and haste with his J ruler. Possibly because he feared my attack after. Maybe because of the triple bow. Not quite sure. I play an egg and banish it immediately. And find my Susan, setting up for my turn after this, just in case. Tap Lave again. Use the ability to do 400 damage across, and again he takes away the satisfaction by banishing into Leviathan. Pump his J ruler, which actually makes more sense because his ruler is flipped this time. I come in with Dread and he takes it. I think he was hoping that I came in with Kane too. I play a Gwen and I play an egg. I banish the egg into Lave. And tap it again after I banish it after it unrests. So now it has been tapped 3 times. Find a lance, put it in my hand, and I swing in for 12. Or whatever the number should be. I think Kane's 7, 6, 7? It should have been I don't know. He was hoping to top deck a miracle, and I don't think he got it. Taps before recovery. Plays another Leviathan. Two, 4, 6. He stacks his Leviatines so he can add extra damage to his God's Art for Arla, and he can take out one of my 2 Resonators. And he's gonna obviously choose my Little Dread, so I have a lot less aggression. So he stacks all of his damage and swings in with Arla. Chooses Little Dread. Then I overkill with triple bow, despite only needing 2, I believe. He banishes Lave to give her imperishable. Him imperishable. And passes turn. I recover everything. I play Susan. And that's game. I'm CocoKane from Tavern TCG. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm signing out.